Hey everyone, let's talk about Dark Fina Warrior's Prayer, our latest premium unit in FFBE that arrived on Thursday, 2 days ago. Exactly 2 days. Saturday already. Wow, time flies. Anyway, she is probably the worst premium unit we've seen to date, and in this review we will find out why that is. So let's start. She's an SLB unit to start, which is already pretty bad. She is a dark support mage. She can kind of do both, but none of it really well. And her EX plus 2 unlock. Finally, the wiki has it stated at EX plus 3, but that's wrong. Mine currently is EX plus 2, and I have that ability unlocked. Maybe the wiki guy, if he's watching, change it. So she unlocks her newly and buffed Demon Slayer, the Dark Fina edition. It was the 130% Demon Killer part wasn't actually buffed. I believe it was 4 turns all along. However, it has been upgraded for global, quote unquote, because it now also sports a 250 physical magic increase for Demon Killer to all allies. Sorry. However, on the downside is it's just 1 turn, meaning effectively the turn you use it on. And that's kind of bad. And I do want to start this review by discussing this very ability because it makes using her a lot worse. So technically speaking, the usual way you would use, or the actual way you would use Dark Fina, is once you SLB'd with her, you use her prior power-ups for the modifier increases of Dark Ga and Stone Ga. You would then quadruple cast, she has quad cast innately by the way, and use either Dark Ga or Stone Ga to 2408x modifier either element. Potentially Earth because Sylvie exists. So that's cool. And a 2408x modifier. Let me quickly divide this by 7. That is equal to a 344 limit burst. Not too shabby, honestly, for a support unit. The downside, though, due to this buff, is that you can't do that. Because in the case that you want to actually use a quadcast, you'd have to do this on the very next turn. However, with this ability, or the portion of this ability being only for that very turn you use it on the following turn you will only have that 160% physical and magical Demon Killer buff to all party allies. Meaning you're losing a lot of damage. What's more is, you're then locked to using her innate triple cast, with the first of the 3 casts being this very ability. Leaving you with 2 casts left, which are free to choose obviously, and you can use her magic things as well. And let's get to her kit. As you can see, I included it all on the bottom left. You would use Triple Dark Prayer. It allows you to use the innate blood magic, the green magic, and abilities, as well as Bewitching Demoness, which we'll get to in a few minutes. So in that case, you would use that Demon Slayer I talked about, and then you choose between her magic abilities, which are on the right hand side of this slide, Dark Ga, Stone Ga, whichever you prefer, and that's it. And this leaves you prone to errors because you only have 2 actual DPSing skills. Even if you're macroing, this is going to be a nightmare to chain, especially if you have units such as Esther in between, and it's doable, but you will hate the game for it. And it's just, I don't know, it made using this whole buff, while I appreciate that Igumi actually went out of the way and buffed her, it really made using her even worse than it was to begin with. The other buff, I believe, was to, let's settle this now. It was a 125 fairy and human killer buff. It is now a 150% human killer buff. That's good. That's actually good. I appreciate this. It's nice. She also has that total of 3 different killer types, which is, it's not bad, but we do have plenty units that do 150 already. Some of which also do 200%, albeit being only cow. Her supporting skills for the party are also rather lacking. So the Enfer Wall is a 280% increase to spirit and magic. But where's the attack and defense, one might ask? Well, that is exclusively on her limit burst / super limit burst. I find that highly irritating because that actually means if you want to use her, she's mainly a supporting unit for mages and less so for physical DPS. However, with her SLB being a thing, you can and still want to some degree use her on trials where physical DPS is most likely preferred though. So the whole kit is rather a mess, honestly, but as you can see, it is rather easy to get to her max modifier. You only need to use the Let's Settle This Now ability because the TMR or STMR bonus already does 500x increase to most of her magical abilities. So that's fine, it's good. It eases up on the bloat of useless abilities that she has. But all in all, as you can see, the kit is super disappointing, but that's to be expected from a super limit burst unit. What's more is, being a premium unit, there has to be something that makes her stand out just a little bit, and that is in the bottom right, which I am happy to have included on this. It's her Unleashed Evocation. So when you evoke Asura, meaning you actually have to kind of sacrifice the Asura Esper on her, your party only, and this is a party only field, your party gains 30% physical and magical dark damage. So if one were to argue her 45% amp is too low, yeah, you can make the 75% with that amplification on top. It's decent and certainly will be made use of in the 2 trials that are actually weak to dark. But that's about it. Okay, let's check out the Limit Burst and Super Limit Burst. The Limit Burst itself, it's rather uninteresting. 20% whip imperil because she has that cool whip, which we'll be talking about in a minute. 350% stats, 250 LB buff, blah, 45 dark amp. But as you can see, it is sadly no imbue. You gotta do the imbue separately, which I hate. I hate it so much. I actually can check in-game just to make sure you have to imbue her separate, the imbue being separate. Because I don't particularly trust the wiki anymore. But yes, the Super Limit Burst, neither the Super Limit Burst nor the SLB imbue the party, which is a shame. But the Super Limit Burst is actually still decent. It is a 30% dark whip imperil. It is 400% stats, 300% LB buff. And I have a feeling that Alum, when they design support premium units, they define premium by the fact that they have 300% LB buffs. On the flip side, Roka exists and she also has 300% LB buff, so I don't know what they define premium by. Probably 400% stats, but Sylvie has that too. Yeah, disappointing to say the least. But there are a few good things, and we'll get to those right now. So both the TMR and STMR of Dark Fina Warriors Prayer are actually good. The TMR is a cloth piece, support units only, and that is the crucial thing. So units such as Kaito, Esther, they cannot use this. Sylvie, on the other hand, she can use this because Sylvie has the supporting tag. So Sylvie is one of the units that gains 3000 HP. Nice, actually. 30 magic, 70 spirit, decent, but also 200% HP flat stats, which, or not flat stats, but 200% HP, which is nice. It's half of what you actually need. And on top, you also gain 30% wind, earth, light, and dark resistance. I'm kind of sad this isn't for tanks too, because tanks would love this. But alas. Sylvie appreciates, and I will most likely use it next clash on Sylvie as well. The Super Trust Master is what's everybody talked about for the last few weeks / months. It is the two-handed whip, which was supposed to bring us the huge dark meta. But with Sylvie being a thing, the dark meta will actually never come to be. But still, the Super Trust Master whip, 1.3x to 1.7x variance, 238 magic is pretty good. It has 200% magic through double hand, meaning a unit such as Angela instantly caps magic through double hand. You don't need Seer of the Future anymore, which is Pause's STMR. What's more is you also don't need her own TMR anymore, meaning she frees up a lot of materia space, and that is what always was an issue with her. She wasn't Angela, that is, was always a superb unit, but she always had to sacrifice that one slot for magic through double hand, and that's a thing of the past because Angela can wear whips innately. And this weapon also has 100% magical and physical beast and fairy killer, which is super cool. I like it. It's 100% killer stats. That's no complaints from me. It's amazing. I love it. I feel like 75 should be bare minimum these days. 100% is the sweet spot. And then there is the vision card. For a premium unit, I feel like this is bad. So it's 1.5k HP, base HP, and 100 magic and spirit, which... nope, not for a premium unit. But it gets worse. One of the passive stats is 15% MP per turn. Like, what? 30% all element resistance, and here's the joke of this whole vision card. It unlocks an ability, and that ability is only for Dark Fina, Warrior's Prayer. And it's a 60 LB crystals to 1 unit on a 3-turn cooldown. When I first read this ability and I didn't see the asterisk of this being locked to Dark Fina, I was like, hey, wow, that's actually cool, right? But when Sinsar told me on the Wiki podcast just on Thursday, which I wonder why it's not out yet, but so be it. Sinsar told me two days ago that this was locked to Dark Fina, and I was like, no way, Jose. Then I pulled for her and I saw the vision card and I was like, no way, Alam, you're that dumb. But here we are. So this vision card, why I do appreciate the general idea that there is an unlockable ability attached to it. That is a cool concept. But a cool concept doesn't mean it's cool in reality, because the way it's handled is actually terrible. With this being an ability that is exclusive to Dark Fina, it's basically useless. Especially being on a 3-turn cooldown. But so be it. I mean, idea cool. The usability, not so cool. So all in all, a great TMR for support units and amazing STMR for those who can use it or for those who have the upgrade package. And yeah, the vision card, it's something I would imagine being on a dumpster fire FFBE story unit than a premium unit. But so be it. I mean, it's Alam units. What do you expect? And let's now also talk about the damage calculation assumptions, because an equivalent 344x LB doesn't sound too bad. As always, pause the video if you want to read through all of this, but here is the build. It is missing 500 static magic, and I would believe that is the Dazzling Demoness card, where it's from. She is vetted against an aquatic Machina type, which was surprisingly very easy to gear for, considering Dazzling Demoness has 100% aquatic killer on it. So I feel like I probably should have aquatic as an easy type for FFBE units these days and pick insect killer instead, because getting almost 300 aquatic killer is a little bit too easy for my liking. But yeah, other than that, it's looking pretty good. And here's the result. She is still rather at the bottom, But always keep in mind, she is a support unit first and foremost, which doesn't surprise in the end that she only sims at 44.71% of Angela's damage, with Angela being way too strong in general, but that's another huge topic. And please also consider that Dark Fina Warrior's Prayer has just 400 base magic, which is super low compared to other units. I believe Angela's 480-ish or 470-ish, around that in that ballpark somewhere definitely. And latest premium unit, Physical Though, will cast 504 attack. So it's a huge difference in base stats, and that makes up for a lot of the damage difference. But still, she's a premium. Yeah, she's a premium unit, which is bad all around. But she's a supporting unit. That's what I wanted to say. And for a supporting unit, take Emperor of Palamacia, for example. He's around the same power level. He actually has more magic though, which makes up for the lower LB modifier. But as you can see, it's still rather fine. So for a pure support unit, not the worst result, and it's barely below. And the Emperor. But please keep in mind, this is assuming that you quad cast Stonegar or Darkgar, which you will never be able to do unless you're not fighting a demon. But in that case, why are you using a Dark team? So the reality is going to be that it's only half of this, because on a triple cast you can only cast Dark slash Stonegar twice, meaning you only have a 1204 modifier, meaning instead of 963 you will have a 481.5 roundabout million damage, which is exactly half of this. So yeah, rather unfortunate that Gumi actually found a way to make her worse as a supporting damage dealer. So yeah, here is the verdict. I mean, she's a 3 out of 10, and I'm sure there's going to be someone who's going to tell me I undersold her when it's just the actual reality. Because this whole thing with Silver releasing prior to this is Dark Fina really gets a reality check here, and she's just not that good in general. Whereas Sylvie is just plain out good in every scenario. So yeah, the good things about Dark Fina. Whip Imperil, that's nice, but she has no Dark Imperil, so that's no +1. She has a very good TMR and STMR, like I mentioned, and I also gave her a +1 for the Dark Amplification field, which is party only. I personally like this a lot because it also has nice economies of scale with Renault and Angelo, who have that Imperil field, which is enemy side only, so you can have both up at the same time. Neato. But the bad side of things, I already mentioned the missing Dark Imperil. Then there's also the super boring SLB kit that she has. You all saw that. Like I mentioned, the buff to the Demon Slayer ability made her actually worse to use, which I still find. I think that's an achievement in itself. What's more is she has a trashy vision card, and yeah, she also is generally lacking party support in general. Like, she has no Mirage for the party, she has no huge resistance buffs, and I count 100% rather low. Sylvie has 200% buffs. It's just not enough. Moreover, the clunkiness of hers to use means that she has no place in a meta at all outside of 2 trials, and I am fairly certain that when these 2 trials arrive on the global server, which is, I believe, Belphegor being one, and then Cerberus? Not sure, don't quote me on that, I have no clue about the names of the JP trial. I just know that 2 of them are rather weak to Dark, and Cinsor used her on those bosses. But with global being a thing, it is very possible that one of the upcoming units will make Dark Fina look like a complete fool. And whoever tells you that she will see super much use like Rinoa, which is funny, don't trust that person. Rinoa saw no use ever. So, in the end, Dark Fina does not deserve the premium tag. She's exclusively used for dark themed fights where you absolutely cannot use any other element and is power crept rather soon anyway. And that's it. Thank you all for watching. We'll see each other tomorrow for the Rain Warriors Prayer review. Another very disappointing unit, spoiler. And until then, have a wonderful rest of the Saturday morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're from. See you then. Bye bye.